Welcome, everyone. It is December 27th, 2023. Welcome to another BRAP. I actually was going to take wasn't planning on even podcasting this evening. Wasn't going to do a BRAP because, we do our BRAPs. We do our regularly scheduled BRAP at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday night. So not going to do that tonight. So want to do a quick BRAP rant because we are coming off the heels of the holiday. If you celebrate Christmas, but what a great time to be a gamer. I said this on the last rant, and when we talked about some of the great holiday gifts deals that are out there for video games right now. And if you haven't checked out, if you game on PC, if you haven't checked out the Epic and Steam winter sales, definitely check those out. Steam has some great deals right now. Went over those deals in the last BRAP rant that we did a couple days ago, and yeah, just a lot of great deals out there right now for gamers. But before we get into the topics, today's rant, I want to give a big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Please do me a quick favor here. Smash the like button if you haven't done so already. And if you're new, consider subscribing and hitting the bell notification so you're alerted when we go live. And have the link here in the live chat. Please do me a favor, retweet the link or post the link on your favorite social media platform. Now, there is some news out there. Some of it more gaming related, but to me the biggest news is what Amazon is doing, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit as well. But and also going to discuss what games we're looking forward to in 2024. And I said this in the last stream. I don't know. At least from what I've seen so far, I don't think 2024 is going to be as stacked as 2023 was. You look at all the games that came out last year, 2023. There were so many great games. Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, which, by the way, I'm still playing. I'm doing the second playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3. And by the way, big shout out to Air Cuts for the win. Cuts, I did try to get Cuts to join the live stream today, and unfortunately she's working, so I don't know if she's listening, but big shout out to Cuts. She's actually playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now, but I am currently at, let's see here, I am currently at 293.6 hours played. Now, mind you, that is between two playthroughs. I beat the game the first time, and now I'm doing the second playthrough, and I gotta say, there's and I saw Cuts tweet this out earlier or yesterday, as a matter of fact, and she said something to the effect that there's a lot to learn. There's and I gotta say, for the amount of items you collect, the inventory system is pretty good. I think pretty intuitive for the most part. Better than the inventory management systems I've seen in other open world RPGs where there's a lot of items that you can collect and manage. But even the ability to create potions and elixirs, to create healing potions, that stuff's pretty intuitive in Baldur's Gate 3, but you kind of have to you definitely need to play around with it and take some time to learn how to mix different items and go, when you're picking up different ingredients, clicking on the alchemy tab to see what items that you collected could be combined to mix to make different types of potions and things like that. So, but I have found through the second playthrough though that I missed some interesting things in the first playthrough that I for example, I have Gale as part of my cast of characters, if you will, part of my team. Through the second playthrough, I somehow missed Gale the first playthrough. He was never part of my team, part of the group that I had, characters that I had as part of the team. He was never part of that. I think I may have came across him but didn't help him. But in this instance, I did help him. And there's other characters in Baldur's Gate 3 that you could choose not to help, like Lazelle's one of them. I've had Lazelle in both playthroughs. I think she is one of the better characters in terms of combat. She can take a lot of damage and inflict a lot of damage as well. Karlach would be the other one. But Gale's been great in terms of as a mage. And but there's certain cutscenes and dialogue sequences that I didn't have the first playthrough that I'm having now the second playthrough. And while it's not a completely new experience, there are some new experiences that I'm very much enjoying in the second playthrough. And I got to say, like, I don't think I've ever played a game in quite some time that has had its hooks on me the way Baldur's Gate 3 does. As I'm playing the second playthrough and I'm meeting these new getting these new quests. There's quests that I missed too that I had no idea how I missed these quests. But as I'm playing the second playthrough, I'm thinking, geez, like I wonder what it'd be like playing with a different type of character build and going through a third playthrough and seeing if there's anything else I may have missed in the second playthrough. Yeah, Tal says the fact that no one else is safe like Game of Thrones makes it amazing. Yeah, Talos, I need to play the game co-op, and I haven't played co-op yet, but I've heard a lot of people say that it's phenomenal playing co-op. I actually have some coworkers that are playing this game, and they've been playing it co-op, and they rant and rave about the co-op experience in Baldur's Gate 3. So yeah, so there's a lot of there's some newer experiences that I'm experiencing right now in the second playthrough that I didn't experience, and because I have the experience now of beating the game in the first playthrough, it's like I'm definitely going through the second playthrough much quicker, and I have a better understanding of the how to utilize the terrain or geometry to my advantage during certain combat sequences, which I didn't really do. I think I kind of went in the beginning of Baldur's Gate, my first playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3. I would actually go in there like, obviously not guns a-blazing because there's no guns there, but pretty much guns a-blazing. I would just go in head first, try to surround everyone, and that's not the way to do it. There's certain the way the maps are designed, the levels are designed. It actually is better to utilize the terrain or geometry to your advantage. And that's what I've been doing. And definitely been utilizing more spells with Shadowheart than I did at the start of the first playthrough. I definitely used her more towards the end, her spells towards the end of the second playthrough. Oh, and by the way, if you're playing Baldur's Gate 3, if you can, get invisibility potions, trust me, and save them for later on in the game. Just hoard them. Hoard as many invisibility potions as you can. You can actually buy them at different vendors at the beginning, Act 1 of Baldur's Gate 3. Hoard those invisibility potions. They can be your best friend. Trust me on this. But yeah, the second playthrough has just been phenomenal. Like I said, I've definitely enjoyed the combat engagements more because I know how to play the game. I'm better at playing the game now. I'm better at combat now. I'm better at utilizing the terrain to my advantage. And I know what spells work now. I know what spells to use, what to equip. So yeah, it's a phenomenal game. And I know I don't think we'll get anything like at the level of Baldur's Gate 3 2024, which is fine. But Baldur's Gate 3 will probably be a game that once I finish the second playthrough, I'll go back and probably play it again during times where there's a little bit of lull in game releases. So I do need to get to Alan Wake 2. That's next on my list. But 2024, I don't know if it's going to be as big as 2023. I mean, they're just, as I mentioned, 2023 was just so stacked. We had the Dead Space remake, which is a phenomenal remake. We had the Resident Evil 4 remake, which was a phenomenal remake. We had there's Hogwarts Legacy. I haven't played it, but a lot of people enjoyed Hogwarts Legacy. Not Breath of the Wild. I'm sorry. Tears of the Kingdom, Legend of Zelda released as well. Diablo 4, which I played. I bought the $100 edition, and then I just kind of fell off the Diablo wagon, if you will. I think I forgot what game I went to after that. There's a release that happened within that window that led me to stop playing Diablo 4. There was also Star Wars Jedi Survivor. There was, one DLC that I've talked quite a bit about on the show here is Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, which I really enjoyed. I thought it was well done. Spider-Man, someone said Devil Shooter said Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is another one that came out this year. God of War Ragnarok Valhalla, which I still haven't played, but I'm hearing a lot of positive things from people who've played it. For racing fans, there was the new Forza Motorsport released. I know I'm missing some other games, but yeah, I just don't know that 2024 is going to be on par with 2023. I think it's probably not gonna. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it being at the same level as 2023. Gosh, 2020. Baldur's Gate 3. I keep. Corey Bass says, I love Baldur's Gate 3 for the diversity of solutions that you can come out with to a game's myriad of combat and social scenarios. Yeah, that's the other thing I love about it. Yeah, Corey, I don't disagree. It's a traditional CRPG. It may not be for everyone. I don't disagree with that. There's certainly a lot to learn with Baldur's Gate 3. Oh, God, and they nailed the D&D rules there. The die rolls, the saves. Oh, man. I love it. I'll be playing Baldur's Gate 3 after the end of this podcast. But I've actually been playing Baldur's Gate 3 throughout the holiday. I'm actually on break right now. My firm is shut down for the last week of December. We do this every year. It's one of the great perks about the firm that I work for. We're closed last week in December, and doesn't count against your PTO, which is nice. And then we're closed the first week in July for our summer break, which, again, doesn't count against your PTO. So we get 2 weeks of vacation without having to use PTO. It's a great perk. It's a great perk. All right, so I celebrate Christmas. I didn't get anything really game related. Well, I did pick up Alan Wake 2 as kind of a gift for myself, but that was probably the only gaming related gift that I got. But my kids actually got these. I forget what they're called. They look like they're not the Game Boy, but they kind of look like the Game Boy, and they have like 400 games on them. And they have loved that gift. I forget the name of the devices, but I think my wife picked it up on Amazon. So they've been playing a lot of the first Super Mario Brothers game that I played on the Nintendo Entertainment System, and they absolutely love it. Love it. They love it. And it's really cool watching them play some of the games on this device that I grew up playing. Super Mario Brothers being one. Donkey Kong being another. What was another one? There was another game. It wasn't Contra. Was it Commando? Maybe it was Commando. Was there a Commando game? I can't remember. There was a game by SNK. I think it was called Commando. I could be wrong. I'd have to look this up. But it's just really cool to see their excitement with these handheld devices and playing games. And then my 9-year-old actually just started playing Horizon Forbidden West. And it's interesting. At first, he was like, "Hey, Dad, this is a little hard." I'm like, "Yeah, this is different than playing, some of the games that he's used to playing," which he mostly plays a lot of like sports games. Does play some shooters, Apex Legends. So this is a little bit different for him. All right, so I do want to pull up. Oh, here we go. So Matt Piscatella, who, if you're not following Matt Piscatella on X or Twitter, he's the executive director and video game industry analyst at Circana, formerly known as NPD. He actually worked at Activision and Warner Brothers Games at some point. I believe he worked on Call of Duty back in the days, if I'm not mistaken. We've had Matt on the show before. It's been quite some time. But Matt actually tweeted something interesting out tweeted something interesting yesterday. He said, thinking a lot about how in the PlayStation, Xbox, PC space, there's a tier with Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, GTA, COD, and the licensed sports games that take so much of the engagement pie with all other games. And basically, the role of temporary distraction for players. It's less than ideal, in my opinion. So it's kind of an interesting. It made me think about Sony's own strategy at games as a service. And I talked about this on the last show. People's some of the takes, if you will, that I've read and that I've listened to with some of the leaked stuff out of the ransomware attack of Insomniac regarding Sony's strategy and Sony's own thought of AAA games, the cost to develop AAA games. I said this on the last show. Like what Sony has stated, what was leaked out of that ransomware attack, that's not uncommon. I mean, if you pay attention to the industry and you look at the movement of the industry, the big publishers, they've all acknowledged what Sony has stated, what was revealed in this ransomware attack. And for people to act like that's new and that's only Sony, it's a bit disingenuous because it's not. EA, Ubisoft, if you look at their portfolio, they don't only make AAA games, but they have certainly done well by creating games as a service, or even in EA's case, having these licensed sports games, which take up so much of the engagement pie. So that was kind of interesting. We think about the engagement pie, where people are playing games, and so when you think about the bullet points or the things that were released as a result of the ransomware attack, it's not. No one should be surprised by what Sony said, given what Matt just said here. In my opinion, it would make sense then that they would look at creating games that would get more, create a higher level of engagement, because, and this is just, Sony problem. I see the fanboys often say, "Oh, well, one and done." Well, yeah, but a lot of games are one and done, unless you're a games as a service or you're a sports game. It's pretty much one and done. Like that's not new. That's not the flex that you think it is. I mean, that's the case with Jedi Survivor. It's a case with other, smaller titles, indie titles, if you will. Where it's you're kind of one and done. But it begs the question, though. Like, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but it begs the question: what happens in the future? Are we going to get to a point where maybe the juice isn't worth the squeeze? I don't think we're going to get there, because I think there's still a demand. I think there's still a demand for these big blockbuster experiences. I relate them to Hollywood blockbuster type releases, but I think as long as there's demand for these big AAA titles, big blockbuster releases, I don't see that going anywhere. But Matt does bring up an interesting point that the bulk of the engagement pie is focused on these things. So it would make sense then that if you're a platform owner, that you would probably want a game that is going to have a long tail in terms of engagement. That just to me makes sense. Given the behavior of consumers that are engaged in these games like Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, GTA, COD. Now, Sony does have one game, not as big as some of the games listed here. It does have MLB The Show, which isn't a one-and-done game, and that's on multiple platforms now. It does have, because they own Bungie, it does have Destiny. We can, we're not going to talk about what's happening with Destiny right now. Any other future, gas titles from Bungie as well. But again, I mean, this isn't unusual, this behavior, unless you're Nintendo, because Nintendo just marched to the beat of their own drum. But Nintendo's the one thing we should recognize about Nintendo, though, is that they've carved a nice little niche of the market out for them. They basically cannibalized their traditional, home console business, or and to an extent their mobile business, mobile device business, and basically combined the two in the form of the Nintendo Switch. Because Nintendo is what I would call a hybrid version of a console and a handheld device, and I thought that was genius for Nintendo. Clearly it's worked well for them. They have sold a lot of Nintendo Switches. They have sold a lot of software on the Nintendo Switch platform. I think I forget what Mario Kart has sold. Maybe 650 million or something. Maybe more than that actually. But the amount of software that Nintendo sells is just unbelievable, and they don't have those big AAA budgets either. So that they've been able to kind of carve themselves out a nice little niche of the market that has proved very successful for them. What will Sony do when the COD catalog drops on Game Pass? They'll continue doing what they do. Abdi, I mean, I know that's been a talking point of 2024 as we talk about the games that we're looking most anticipated video games of 2024, which we'll get to. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they just they're still going to have Call of Duty. Granted, they won't have in Game Pass, but I don't think it's going to necessarily move the needle drastically for Xbox. I think people are in their ecosystems now. There's cross-play. Sure, if Microsoft gets some of that double XP, weekend events and PlayStation doesn't have it, I don't think a lot of people are going to suddenly migrate to from PlayStation to Xbox. I mean, if that was the case, then a lot of people would have migrated from Xbox to PlayStation right now for those double XP type weekends. I'm not saying that there's zero impact. There will be some people that will obviously migrate because they want that double XP or some of those exclusive, whether it's a map pack or a skin. There'll be some people there that will migrate for those things. But if that was truly a driver of migration, I would imagine we would have seen that in the reverse. We would have seen many more people leaving Xbox, going to PlayStation for those things. I just don't think that's going to happen. I do think sometimes, and maybe this is for console wars, the impact is maybe overstated, but I'm not saying that there's zero impact at all. Obviously, this is going to move the needle for Xbox, and I would imagine drive some new subscribers to the Game Pass subscription platform. But I'm not so sure that it's going to do what I see some of the things people are saying it's going to do, like flip the tide. I don't see that. Could be wrong. You never know. Never say never. Maybe in 10 years we're having a different conversation. But I just don't see that happening right now. AAA games too expensive to make with the ongoing service games, DLC, or expansion. But yeah, look, AAA games are very expensive. They've always been very expensive to make. They've gotten more expensive to make. And if you listen to, I think we're going to hit a point, and people will not be happy about this, where the publishers are going to start charging more for AAA games given the development costs. And again, I'll say this: as long as there's demand for this, and we saw this when the price increase went to $70. I remember some people were saying, "Oh, this is going to kill gaming. People aren't going to buy AAA games." You look what happened. The AAA games AAA games continue to sell very well. So I think that we may have Kevin, Nintendo doesn't. I don't think they count copies sold in bundles for Mario Kart. We know that PlayStation does not count copies sold for like the Spider-Man bundle. And actually, big shout out to Nib. Nib on Twitter actually posted some information about that. I don't have the link for it to drop in live chat, but he kind of clarified that because that's kind of been a talking point, unfortunately. But I think that you could do things like with AAA games. You could create expansions. I saw Nate just say you can create expansions like Blood and Wine for The Witcher 3, or you could do something like Phantom Liberty with Cyberpunk. I mean, so there's ways to keep the engagement tail a little bit longer with with some of these AAA games. But yeah, AAA games obviously very expensive to make. I do think we'll see. I do think at some point we're going to see a price increase. I mean, we have been seeing price increases for AAA games, I think on average every 12 years. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw an increase to $80. I mean, even the CEO of Capcom said that AAA games are actually, they should be charging more for AAA games than they are now. Like even at $70, the $70 price point just isn't high enough for what they're spending right now for AAA game releases. But again, this is I don't see this going away, at least in the near term, because there's just so much demand for AAA game releases. But I think it's interesting. Matt brings up an interesting point about the engagement pie, and and I think that's why you see a lot of these publishers, Sony included, Microsoft included, trying to create games that have longer engagement tails, because that reoccurring revenue is going to help fund big AAA titles. And I hope that's the case with Xbox at some point. I mean, that's kind of been my one criticism of them. To me, and the reason why I got rid of my Xbox Series X console was because I didn't see Microsoft really pushing the boundaries, the limits of the hardware with some of their AAA experiences. And that was disappointing to me, because that's kind of the expectation I had of them when they talked about the most powerful console on planet Earth with the Series X. And this is why I say, if you're going to, the best place to enjoy the Xbox ecosystem is PC, because you can actually push the hardware yourself, the visual fidelity there on that platform that you just can't on the Series X console right now. Yeah, Abdi says $80 to $100 USD for games are more expensive in non-American countries. I have to pay $20 more for next-gen games in Canada. Yeah, that's actually a great point. We had Ramon Terrell on. He's in Canada. He's like, yeah, and Mag too. Mag's been on the show. Mag's talked about the what I call the Canada tax. Now that's a real tax, by the way. We have to pay extra money for some of these AAA games. It's not cheap. Yeah, but I just wanted to bring that up. I thought it's an interesting point, what Matt was saying, and I think kind of gives a little insight to why you see some of the behavior of the industry, and even Sony to an extent. I mean, Sony is one of the big publishers in gaming. I mean, they're top 5 publisher in the gaming industry. So it would make sense that they are going to explore these avenues, given the pie, if you will, where the majority of the pie is. Nate, I need to try The Last of Us Part 1 on PC. I need to try that on PC. I haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn on PC. The TV that we have, I had another 4K TV in the room that's adjacent to my gaming room where my kids play video games, and we had a 4K TV, and my youngest threw like a golf ball or something at it and shattered the screen. He got mad. Anyhow, so I had to get rid of the TV, and then what I put in place there was a Panasonic. I have an ST50 plasma TV that I really hadn't been. I really hadn't been used in a couple of years, and so I took it out of storage to set up there as a replacement TV. And my the digital PS5 that we have is there. And my son was playing Horizon Zero Dawn on a 1080p TV. Even at 1080p, it looked really good. Looked really good. Nate says, yeah, I just got it for Fox on her computer, and she cranked to max on that QD OLED. I saw that. I looked at that monitor, by the way. It's nice. That's a nice monitor. Yeah, I'm sure. I may need to check that out, Nate. By the way, anyone a Washington Commanders fan here in the live chat? That franchise is maddening, by the way. Drives me mad. Yeah, I did see that, Twisted. Twisted says, BRAP, did you see the news that Jason Blundell is now with Sony, including a ton of Activision Deviation developers that flew to Yeah, I did see that. There wasn't... it's not something that I saw the media really report on, but I did see that. I mean, Sony, look, they're making investments, you know. This conversation about them being in trouble, I mean, I don't know how people arrived at that. Hey, Ice Queen, happy holidays to you, Ice Queen Gaming. I don't get it. They're making investments, you know. That's why, you know, when the fanboys say, "Oh, Xbox is going to be out of business next year," I've seen that. That's ridiculous. I don't think that's the case either. They're making a lot of investments right now in video games. BRAP, what's your preference, AMD or NVIDIA? NVIDIA by far. I used to prefer the AMD CPUs, but I did, with this build that I currently have right now, switch back to Intel for the first time in many, many years. Ice Cream says, happy holidays, bro. I had a good Christmas, some nice things, plus a bottle of vodka. Hey, nothing wrong with that. What, all right, so Ice Cream, are you someone who enjoys vodka? And if so, what's your favorite brand? I'm not a real big vodka person. I prefer tequila. My wife actually likes bourbon and whiskey. I don't really care for bourbon and whiskey. That's just, ugh. She feels the same way that I do about IPAs, though. Or she feels the same way that I feel about whiskey about IPAs. Do you think Sony can survive beyond PS5 without first-party multiplayer? Yes, I do. I do. I do, Abdi. I don't see. Look, they're such a big brand in gaming. There was an article about the some of the most recognized brands globally. PlayStation was actually one of them. I do think that a diversification of their portfolio is smart based on, I think, it's Shaw Lady. And this is the other thing that kind of like where I'm like, have you people not been paying attention with regards to the ransomware attack and what came out of that, when people are like, oh, they're looking to change their strategy. They're looking to be third party. No, they're not looking to be third party. And that conversation is really based on a slide of them having content on their devices. But what they did read out of that, and I mentioned this on the last rant, what a lot of people missed out of that leak was, or the ransomware attack leak was, that that they aren't looking, they don't believe a unification of platforms for a singular type of content makes sense. That's the big differentiator between what Microsoft and what Sony wants to do. Sony wants to develop titles that are specific for platforms, except I would. The only thing I would say where that probably doesn't apply is on PC because of the hardware. But Sony said, look, there's different hardware. The unification just doesn't make sense because of the variety of different hardware specs. Mobile, things like that. So it was kind of curious that people missed that, but it makes sense for Sony to, for any business really. I'd be more concerned if Sony wasn't having these conversations, if Sony didn't acknowledge the impact of COD. Then I'd be more concerned if they had just buried their head in the sand and said, oh, COD, we're fine, no worries. But that's not the case. And acknowledging that they have to diversify their portfolio in terms of generating new revenue streams, because that'll all help fund AAA games and are stopgaps in between the times that they release AAA games. The AAA games, they take a lot of time to develop, and so it's why you see publishers like EA, like Ubisoft, outside of their AAA projects, invest in other types of games, invest in putting their content in different platforms. EA will make mobile specific games. I mean, Activision did that. Activision, Candy Crush makes more money than COD. It's a mobile game. Yeah, Corey, I don't disagree with you. I think I may have touched upon that last week. The Twitter narratives have ruined this community. Too much platform warriors making point. Yeah, and I think a lot of it is you have a lot of people that are engagement merchants. Even though I was recently accused of that, which is kind of funny. But you have people that are purposely stirring the pot, trying to drive engagement, trying to make money off of the misery of other people, and it's just it sucks. It sucks. It's disappointing. I know some people who are in their lives professionals and who I used to think were intelligent, and I see them caught up in this, and that's just really unfortunate. Do I think Naughty Dog released a new game this generation? Possibly. Who knows? I can't say 100% sure. I don't have a crystal ball, but if you look at their track record of releasing content towards the latter part of generations, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they did. Yeah, Ice Queen, I did too. The ransomware attacks were, I felt bad. I mean, Smeared Off Vodka. Thank you for that, Ice Queen Gaming. Yeah, it's unfortunate. You saw the response by the Insomniac developers. They were, obviously they were angry about it. They were upset, and rightfully so. Misery loves company. This is true, Twisted Sin. And money loves misery. Well, a lot of people make money off misery. All right. I want to get to a news item here. Give me a second to pull up the article. By the way, if you're not reading gamesindustry.biz, please check out the gamesindustry.biz website. To me, it's the best video game news site out there. They actually have I haven't listened to. They have a Game of the Year 2023 podcast. Definitely check out that podcast. They have some really good podcasts. All right. I'm sorry. I'm looking for this article. Here we go. All right. So Amazon, and we there's always been talk about this on the internets, on X. Like, what if this was to happen? We only thought it was probably a matter of time that this would happen, where you'd have subscription services, and I wonder, at least in my opinion, I believe that part of this is part of the churn of subscription services, why we're seeing stuff like this. They get you into the service. It's kind of, it's the enshittification process that myself and Logic have talked about quite a bit here, where these platform holders, because they have, look, these big companies, these big platform owners that can engage in loss leader strategies. And this is why we were, voiced concern over the acquisition of ABK by Microsoft. These big technology companies, and Cory Doctorow, by the way, has a great book called Choke Point Capitalism. If you're interested in the power that big tech has and the enshittification process of big tech, definitely check that book out. I've read a little bit of the book, not a whole lot, but I've kind of skimmed through it. When he kind of talks about the way the U.S. government had historically looked at mergers, acquisitions, how that changed during the Reagan years, and actually this idea came out of the Chicago School of Business, actually, and I forget the professor's name, but this is in Cory Doctorow's book, where he talks about this professor brought about this idea. Well, hey, you know what? If an acquisition by a big company, if an acquisition brings or mass consolidation brings about cheaper prices for consumers, then it's good. It's good. But what's happened is, well, we see those cheaper prices at times. The long-term impact is quite the opposite, where we don't see that. We see less choice in the marketplace. And I've said this before, consumers, I mean, look at the ISP consolidation, mass consolidation of the ISPs in the United States. That hasn't led to necessarily better internet. I think we're not even, I forget what the U.S. is. I have to pull the number. But considering the amount of money and resources the United States has, the wealth we have in this country, I don't think we're in the top 5 for internet globally, which is shocking to me, considering what I just mentioned in terms of the amount of resources and wealth we have in the United States. But that's another conversation. But even like in healthcare, you see where healthcare, the consolidation of healthcare, necessarily hasn't led to better insurance prices for people. So there are examples out there, the airline industry being another one, where consolidation really hasn't been beneficial to consumers. But anyhow, but this is what we talked about. We talked about these big companies that can engage in loss leader strategies like an Amazon that can offer these services cheaply, again, because they have the resources, they have the amount of, they have the money to burn to be able to engage in loss leader strategies and offer things initially cheap to consumers. And then they're going to find other ways to, squeeze as much money out of monthly active users they can. And so here we are, Amazon Prime, the Amazon Prime video service, starting January 29th this year, will start showing ads. Unless there's always, here's the catch. Unless you're willing to pony up, no pun intended, unless you're willing to pony up an extra fee a month. Now, so here's the thing. So Amazon, they're going to incorporate ads into their movies and TV shows that are streamed from the Amazon Prime Video service. And if you subscribe to Amazon Prime, you have Amazon Prime Video. And Amazon, this is a quote from Amazon. Amazon said, the price increase, so this will allow us to continue investing in compelling content and keep increasing the investment over a long period of time. So here we are. They charge you for Amazon Prime on a monthly basis, but they're saying, hey, we need more money from you guys in order to continue investing in compelling content, because we're not making enough money off just subscription services alone, or the monthly subscription service alone. We aim to have meaningfully fewer ads than linear TV and other streaming TV providers. No action is required from you, and there's no change to the current price of your Prime membership, the company wrote. Customers have the option of paying an additional $3 per month to keep avoiding advertisements. Now, so that's the fee that they're asking. They're asking you to pay an additional $3 a month to keep avoiding advertisements. Now, I don't really watch Amazon Prime or use Amazon Prime a lot. I just don't. On occasion, I will. Again, the only reason I have is because I utilize the Amazon Prime service for purchases. What's up, Anthony Dixon? So I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with having to pay $3 a month to have advertisements removed from movies. Like we see that's not going to work for me. Now, I understand there will be some consumers out there who may say, hey, you know what? I don't want ads in my movies or my TV shows. I'm willing to pay the extra $3. It's only $3. I get that. And over the course of the year, it's an extra $36 a year to not have advertisements run. But excuse me. But here's the thing. I got to believe at some point, that they're going to increase this. And they're going to increase this again. It's going to go from 3 to 4. It's going to go to 4 to 5 at some point. I mean, we see this with other subscription services, the increase the price of subscription services. Now, again, if I was someone that was actually engaged in the Amazon Prime video service, maybe my feelings about, paying the $3 a month would be different, but I don't use it a lot. So, and I'm just not going to, and because I don't use it, I just don't see any value in paying the additional $3 a month. Twisted Sin says we're getting to a point where cable is cheaper. It's interesting. There's a story many years ago when somebody had, and I read this somewhere. It was an article about the advent of cable television, and someone saying one day people will pay to watch the Super Bowl, and someone laughed at that idea, and here we are all these years later, and people pay to watch the Super Bowl through your cable through your cable provider. Yeah, Rich. I don't. Did he say that? It's just $3. I mean, look, if he sees value in that, Rich, that hey, more power to him. I don't see value in $3. There's going to be people that are going to shrug their shoulders at the $3 because they probably are utilizing Amazon Prime quite a bit to watch content. I'm not one of those individuals. It's not for me. I don't like it. I don't like having to pay additional money for no ads, especially when you have traditionally provided that for free. But this is the enshittification process. This is where companies can, like a company like Amazon, can engage in loss leader, can burn money on a service, could give it to you at the cheap to get you in, and then they could start incrementally raising prices. Yeah, I'm the same. I'm in the same boat as you, Ice Queen. I only use Amazon Prime for Twitch and also for buying, for purchasing. But this is part of the concern I have. Look, I fully admit I engage in subscription services, but this is part of the concern I have with subscription services as it relates to video games. Gaming is an expensive hobby. I personally don't care to pay additional, $3, $4, $5 for something that was already there for free. And if it's going to be interesting, Amazon saying that that this is going to allow them to deliver more compelling content. Hopefully it does, but if it doesn't, I think that's a conversation to be had. Katie to go says it's business. It's stupid to pick and choose where to be raged at. We pay Sony for online service for a decade plus. When they don't make any gains for it, it's nothing to cry over. Pay it or don't. KT, what does this have to do with Sony? I just stated, KT, that people are going to either be okay with this increase or other people aren't. I'm okay. Like this is, and yes, people are going to choose as consumers what to, in your quotes, be raged at because they see value in different things. It's the way consumers behave. Yeah, so it's not stupid to pick and choose. It's part of how consumers value things. I just said, me personally, I'm not going to pay $3 a month, but also admittedly, I'm not one of those individuals who utilizes Amazon Prime quite a bit. I'm just not, or Prime Video, I should say. I'm not one of those individuals. I'm not that consumer that's going to say, oh, well, you know what? I utilize Amazon Prime Video all the time, therefore I'm okay with paying the $3 a month because I enjoy the content. It's the same reason why people pay Sony for the online service. But I appreciate the attempt at console warring, Katie Goat, and sidestepping how consumers typically view things. Thank you for that. I'm not raging. I'm just saying it's not for me. See, this is the problem with the conversation, like in Katie Goat, and this is where what people should understand. Like this is where emotional maturity comes into play. By the way, Katie Goat, that. No one's angry about it. I'm just saying I don't agree with it because I don't utilize the service. And I have concerns about trillion-dollar companies engaging a loss leader and giving things for the cheap to all of a sudden pivot and say, you know what, we're going to start charging you for this. Loss leader being the key strategy, being the key piece I think you're missing in this. So, I mean, there's nothing to be confused, KT. If you understand how consumer behavior works, KT, which I imagine you should, you're a consumer, right? You buy things in the marketplace. You make choices based on value proposition or your perception of value, right? No one's raging. I just don't agree with it. Yes, Amazon Prime does have free shipping. That's why I use Amazon Prime. That's what I just said, J Twigs. That's the only reason I have Amazon Prime, for the free shipping and the fast delivery. No, KT, no one's in their feelings here. I'm not mad. I don't understand what you don't understand about that. No one's mad. I just don't agree with it. Like, KT, you should be able to, as a rational adult, separate the difference between being mad and not agreeing with something. Those are two vastly different things. You know? And no, I'm not getting in my feelings. I'm just confused by your thought process here, because those are vastly two different things. Like, you as an adult should understand that there's a difference between, as a consumer, saying I don't like this versus being mad about something. Those are vastly, completely two different things. Yeah, like CFresh21A says, Katie Goat, why are you raging about BRAP's opinion? I mean, we could see how that works, Katie. We could also say that as well about you, but we're not, because we're having a conversation. But the point remains is, like, you brought up Sony, and I'm like, well, what does Sony have to do with Amazon Prime? Like, it has hints of console warring, because this is what console warriors do. They bring up a whataboutism. They straw man something. And we're not having this kind of conversation, KT to Goat. Hey, look, plenty of other channels out there if you want a console war, buddy. But my point was tying into this and kind of reading about choke point capitalism, what Cory Doctorow's talked about, and trillion-dollar companies engaging in loss leader and having control of content, things like that. This is what I'm talking about when I see stuff like the Amazon Prime charging $3 for, for ads, really. And again, like as I said earlier, there are going to be some people that are okay with this because they engage in the Amazon Prime Video service, and there's others like me who don't see value in it and aren't going to do it. And look, other platforms, other subscription services have increased their prices. Disney Plus just did. I didn't cancel my Disney Plus service because I find value in that. Look, I'll say this. I don't think any consumer here wants higher prices. I don't think anyone would make that argument. But what we do is we make value judgments based on what we find value in and how we, and how we utilize particular subscription services or platforms. Hey, what's up, Forte? Amazon is charging you $3 now, starting January 29th, to have ad-free content. Now, look, some people may look at Amazon Prime as there's going to be people out there, again, that look at this, the total package of Amazon Prime too, and they say, hey, you know what, the extra $3, hey, I'm okay with that. I have access to a broad range of streaming content, shows. I have, I get Max, Paramount Plus, Showtime, all these other things that are in with no extra apps to download. I mean, there's certainly a value proposition for people there. You have access to 100 million songs. I mean, look, again, they own a lot. They have access to a lot of these things. And also there's Amazon Pharmacy. there's There's the grocery store stuff. I mean, there. I mean, so people might say, you know what? Like, hey, what's $3? Look at all the stuff I'm getting. But there's going to be other people like me who don't utilize. Yes, even if you have Amazon Prime Giving Forte, they're charging you an additional $3 for ad-free content starting January 29th for $3. Maybe Corey. Maybe they're looking at that. You know, but see, it's and I really like the like Nate's providing some feedback, and I love the feedback in the live chat here. People who are like, okay, I'm okay with it, or I'm not okay with it. Again, I think yeah, Capone, I'm all for it for a while. Yeah, Forte. I mean, look, Forte. It's like I said. I mean, some people are going to be okay with this, others aren't. Some people are going to look at the entire package of things that you get as part of being an Amazon Prime member and say, hey, what's additional $3? For me, it's not worth it. Although, actually, now that I'm going down, let's see here. All right, so here's some of the member benefits that you get as a Prime member. All right, so more than 300 million items are available with free Prime shipping. They have some of the most popular items are available free same day or day one delivery for Amazon. You get exclusives to a broad range of streaming video content. You get Prime Video exclusives like The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. I haven't watched The Boys, which I do watch. Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, Citadel. The Wheel of Time, Reacher, the Summer I Turned Pretty, as well as blockbuster movies as Air, Creed 3, Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons is actually a really good movie. Candy Cane Lane with Eddie Murphy and exclusive live sports, including you get Thursday Night Football, which is now part of that. Access to Prime Video channels also include a selection of subscription channels like Max, Paramount Plus, Showtime, BET Plus, MGM Plus, VIX Plus, Crunchyroll, PBS Kids, NBA League Pass, MLB.TV, and Stars, with no extra apps to download. You have to download the extra apps. No cables required, obviously, except for you need an internet connection. And then, you have the option to pay for the ones that you want, and you can cancel anytime. So those are some of the, here we go, the 100 million songs and millions of podcasts that are available for Amazon Music. It's also part of that. I mentioned prescription medications as low as $1 a month. Fast free shipping from Amazon Pharmacy. God, Amazon is literally in everything. That does concern me. It does concern me a little bit. Big $1 trillion companies having their hands in everything. Forte says Amazon Prime is a staple. So Forte, are you going to be Are you going to be paying $3, the extra $3 a month for the ad-free streaming? KT to go. The problem is that what you're saying though, one isn't even. I mean, it has nothing to do with the Amazon increase here. Yeah, Capone, I am not a fan of monopolies. The comparison of Sony, like the what you just described, has nothing to do with this news story. Number one. Two, if you bring it up, as I mentioned, some people there are people that are not okay with that, with the Sony online fee and don't pay it. So I guess your point is just moot. I mean, like, again, we're talking about consumer behavior. We're talking about Amazon, charging $3 for something that was initially free. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Well, I've answered the question, KT to go, and I've answered the question already I've told you what we're discussing here. And I've said to you that, look, there's going to be people that are okay with either things, and there's going to be others that aren't. And that's it. That's just the reality of things. That's how consumers behave. So, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, and Amazon, and so that's the thing. It's like, and I go back, these big $1 trillion companies Amazon, a technology company, now they want to get into pharmaceuticals? Think about that. I mean, that's crazy. I'm thinking about them getting to pharmaceuticals, and I was actually, I mean, everyone remembers the movie Aliens, right? Remember the Weyland-Yutani Corporation? I mean, is that where we're heading? I'm trying to pull some information on Amazon. I thought Amazon was trying to acquire, a pharmaceutical company or something. Look at this real quick. Or some kind of healthcare solutions. Oh, here it goes. Amazon acquired, this is back in July of 2022. Just pulled this up from NPR. Amazon buying One Medical is only its most recent dive into the healthcare industry. Now, I know they were looking to acquire more companies in healthcare, but I didn't realize that they had acquired one already. Amazon plans to buy primary care organization One Medical is a $4 billion deal. Wow. Yeah, so according to this article, over the last few years, Amazon has been similarly trying to get into healthcare largely with digital interactions. I think this indicates their similar desire as Whole Foods to have a physical place where they can have healthcare interaction with their patients or customers that's available in most their patients or customers that's available in most major American cities. Amazon acquired online pharmacy company PillPack for $753 million in 2018. Launched Amazon Pharmacy in 2020. Wow.